Hello, and welcome to the second video, the TorqueScript video series. This video will cover functions and loops. First, I'm going to show you how to create a function. Next, I'm going to show you how to pass a variable to that function using arguments. Then I'm going to show you how to return a variable from that function. In the last section, we'll cover loops, while, do, and for loops. Okay. A function is an accessible name that is useful for running a group of code. The average size of a function is between 5 and 20 lines. Okay, I'm going to open up the console and show you how to make a function. To make a function, first start off with the keyword function, followed by the function name. Just call this one display text, followed by a left parenthesis and a right parenthesis. Next, you're going to want to do an open bracket, followed by an indent, which in my case is 3 spaces, but in your scripting at IDE might be a tab. And just say echo text. Now I'm going to show you that you can run multiple lines in a function by doing this. I'm just going to display more text. Okay. So when we run this function, it'll display first text and then more text in a line. Let's run this text, or this function. To call this function, we're going to want to call it by calling the name display text, followed by a left parenthesis and a right parenthesis. Display text, left parenthesis, right parenthesis. Okay, first it displayed text, and then more text. Okay. This section, I'm going to teach you how to use arguments. Arguments allow variables to be passed to a function, allowing for different input each time the function is run. I'm going to create a new function. Let's say here, or let's display. I'm just going to make the same example, display text, and make a left parenthesis. And this is where your arguments are placed. So we're going to use local variables. You can also use global variables here, but it's kind of impractical. So I'm going to say text1. When the function is called, text1 will be created here. It'll then be usable throughout the rest of the function, and then on the close of the function, it'll be terminated. Okay, so let's display the argument text1. Now when we call this function with display text left parenthesis, you put the argument right in here, and we can make this whatever we want. I'm going to say, let's see here, I'm going to name the state New York, and when we run this, New York will be displayed. We first execute the function. This will overwrite the previous definition and then display it with the argument. Okay. If you want to make a second argument, you can simply put a comma and then make the second argument. So I'm going to say text2 followed by a number. So let's run this function, overwriting the previous definition, and change our example. I'm going to say give the first argument New York, second argument CT for Connecticut, and the final number is 2 for 2 states. Let's run this, and well, it only displayed New York because I haven't yet told it what to do with text2 and number. So I'm going to add space followed by the next string followed by the number. So this will display New York space CT space 2. I'm going to overwrite the previous function definition and rerun the function. Okay. What happens if we leave out an argument? So I'm just going to delete 2 and run the code. New York and CT was displayed. Now what is passed to number is actually the default string of null, which is just 2 quotes. In this section, I'm going to show you how to return a variable from a function. When you return a variable from a function, it pretty much replaces the function call. So you can use the function call in expressions. I'm going to create a new example here. Function add, left parenthesis, number 1, followed by number 2. I'm going to create a new local variable, which will delete itself at the end of the function. I'm going to call this total. I'm going to add number 1 with number 2. Then I'm going to return it using the return keyword, total. Okay, let's run this code. And call it. I'm going to call it by using add, let's say 8 plus 6. I forgot to display it, so we're going to want to echo add 8, 6. So what's happening here is add is being replaced with the value 14, returning from total, and is being placed in the echo function. So the value total is replacing this function call, which 14 is displayed. Now you can nest function calls as so. So we can first add 5 plus 5, and then add 8 to it, so it'll display 18. An easy way for checking whether or not you have the right placement of the parentheses is first, for every open parenthesis there should be a matching closed parenthesis. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and 18 is displayed. If we wanted to make a return statement that was just anything and we didn't want to have variables, we just do this. I'm just going to return true, which is 1. Replace a function call add, and we must echo this to the console. So I'm just going to add anything, and it should display 1. Okay. If we wanted to return false, it will equal 0. Go in and change this to false. So you don't have to really make variables to return things. You just have to put in a value. Echo add. Okay, 0 is displayed for false. In this section, I'm going to show you how to loop code. I'm going to show you how to do the while loop, the do while loop, and the for loop. I'm going to open up the console and a notepad. I'm going to start with keyword while, followed by a left parenthesis and a condition. For this condition, I'm just going to do number is less than 5. I'm going to display number, and then I'm going to increment this number. The incrementation adds 1 to the current value of number. And the while loop pretty much works, or the body of the while loop pretty much works like a function. You have a open bracket starting the execution of the code, and a close bracket to mark the end. Let's run this code. Delete the console text using CLS. Now, after running the code, it has displayed the values 0 through 4, or rather the default version of the default value of a variable. It's incremented up to 4. Next type of loop I'm going to show you is a do while loop. The cool thing about this is it executes the code before executing a condition. So I'm going to do echo. In this case, I'm going to use x as the number. I'm going to do x increment, and then I'm going to execute the condition. So while x is less than 20. There is no semicolon after the while loop. Okay, let's run this code. And I forgot a semicolon after x increment. Okay, so let's display the values 0 through 20. 0 through 19. Okay. I'm just going to show you that this does in fact execute before the condition by running it again. So as you can see, if we keep running this, it'll increment the value. Now the reason why the the loop doesn't start back to 0 is because we're using global variables, so the value of x will continue through. So I'm just going to display the value of x, and it should equal 38. And it's equal 39. That's because the value of x is displayed before it's incremented. So if I display it again, it should equal 39. Okay. The next type of loop is a for loop, and it starts with variable initialization. So I'm just going to say x equals 0. Now you can actually put anything here, and this section is run before the loop happens. So this is the first thing that gets run. Okay. Next is the condition. This will happen every time it loops through. So we're going to say while x is less than 10. And the last part, this section of code is used to increment the variable, but you can really put anything here. This will happen after the loop has been run through. Again, the body of the loop works pretty much like a function. So I'm going to echo the value global variable x. Okay. If I run this loop again, it'll start back to 0 because we have an initialization. Okay. I just want to warn you that if you make an infinite loop, Torque will actually crash on you. Now, before I do this, I'm going to say thanks for watching, and you can get our other videos at makingindygames.com. Okay. It's back to Torque, where we're going to create an infinite loop. So I'm going to say while, say true equals true, which it always equals true, so it'll execute. I'm just going to put in display this will not run. I'm going to echo because Torque only has a single thread. So, when your game runs, there's only a single thread, meaning if you infinitely loop a code, the input controlling this mouse will not run, along with any player input, displaying text to the console. In other words, nothing will happen because the code is just continually looping through this while loop. Okay, let's display this, and it'll crash the program. As you can see, I'm moving my mouse over here, but when I move it over to Torque, nothing happens. If you haven't done so already, head over to our website at makingindygames.com, and here you can find many great resources for development with Torque 3D, Torque 2D, and iTorque 2D. We've recently just developed the TorqueStrip Interactive Tutorial 2, which is interactive software for learning how to program in Torque 2D and iTorque 2D.